This Friday, the biggest shake-up of data protection laws for more than 20 years comes into force. It is the European Union's General Data Protection Regulation, or GDPR, and it affects anyone who does business with people living in Europe. And given the global nature of the internet these days, that pretty much means everyone. Now, so far, you might have encountered GDPR through all those emails you've been receiving asking you to resubscribe to mailing lists. But lots more is changing than that come Friday. And Lara Lewington has the highlights.
The GDPR affects the big internet players in the US, but also smaller organisations, and aims to protect users' personal data. At its heart, it requires everyone to design data protection into their offerings, with privacy settings set to high by default. Heard this before?
All calls are recorded for training and security purposes.
Well, that may not be adequate under the GDPR, which states that you must actively give your consent rather than it be assumed, and that you can withdraw that consent at any time. So in this case, the company needs to wipe that call recording if you ask them to. EU citizens get the right to access their personal data and also find out who the company has shared it with and how they got it in the first place. If it was acquired in a dodgy way, you can ask the company to delete it, as well as any data that affects your fundamental rights. And the data must be deleted anyway if it's no longer being used, so companies can't just hoard information on us for the sake of it. If it all goes wrong and the company fails to keep our data safe, then they must report the breach and tell us within 72 hours. No more keeping it hushed up. And if an organisation doesn't follow the rules, it can be fined up to €20 million, or as much as 4% of its annual worldwide turnover. For Facebook, that will be a whopping 100 times that €20 million figure. There are two more rights the GDPR introduces. Ever been frustrated when this happens?
Computer says no.
Well, from now on, you'll have the right to an explanation if an algorithm is left to make a decision about you. And you should be able to easily take the personal data stored about you to give it to another company, should you wish to change service or social network. But how workable these last 2 points will be in practice remains to be seen.